Support your Hobbit hobby.
Welcome, Strategy Battle Gamers, to another GBHL YouTube video. You're here with GBHL James and a special guest. Today we have
Damian O'Byrne.
Damian O'Byrne, Dr. Grant from the One Ring Forums, and this is a special unboxing for you guys. That's right, we've just finished the end of our tournament.
Indeed.
The best event ever at East Grinstead. How'd you get on?
It was literally the best event ever.
It was really good.
Did you ask me how I got on?
I did ask you how you got on.
I will tell you, but so part of me wonders if you're only asking me how I got on so that you can tell me how you got on.
Well, yeah.
I got on averagely, I believe. I had two losses to begin with, which was awful, and then but great games, and then 2 wins. So I found myself in 13th, where I was 12th at Mansfield. So I think I'm sitting comfortably mid-table this season.
As Tom Harrison would say, average.
Pretty average. Yeah.
Now, there is a reason why we're leading with this. This isn't a tournament review. Oh no, no, no. The reason is that we are actually unboxing my prize for coming second place. Thank you.
And can you guess what he took? Can you guess?
It's totally broken.
It was all infantry Rohan.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Infantry. Infantry. We are going to be unboxing the prize that I got for second place, and a really generous prize.
It's a very generous prize.
And this is actually my gift to Damian for hosting us at such an amazing weekend as well. That's not a disrespect to the prize that I've received, obviously, from the tournament guys, but it meant a lot more to me to give to you for a fabulous weekend of hosting. So we're unboxing.
It's sweet, and I was deeply touched to be handed this. It's kind of like when the up aboves go, you know, I will bestow upon you my prize.
Yeah, seriously.
But I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, and it's a lovely figure.
It is. We are going to be unboxing the Master of Laketown, and in this video we're going to be talking a little bit about the model itself, the quality of the Finecast. It's a wonderful Finecast.
We'll know how it will be.
Yeah, you'll have to be doing the technical stuff, and to be honest, a lot of the raw stuff as well, because Jamie's not here. In fact,
there's a lot of pressure there.
You are actually sat where I would normally sit.
Oh, we're on the way.
Don't worry about it.
You sure?
Yeah, you can be muscles and I'll be mop.
Yeah. Muscles and mop. Yeah.
Muscles and mop. So we're going to start unboxing the Master of Laketown now.
Using a knife,
yeah, remember, if you are a child under the age of a certain age, make sure you get a responsible adult.
Under the age of a certain age?
Yeah, this is how we roll when it comes to under the age of a certain age. Because what did you say, like 16? You say
16,
18?
I think, that sort of, I think it's 16 to buy tools.
Yeah. Under 21, with ID, you need to open one of these.
You may have witnessed me in a recent unboxing learning about the new tabs, but I've given up on the new tabs.
Oh, the new tabs.
I just pulled them out before.
Is there actually a tab on these?
It's supposed to be this thing here. You want to try it? There's a little thing there. You should be able to pull that down. Okay, so if we show these guys here, so there's supposedly supposed to be a tab here that you pull down, and that would then rip. That's useless. You might as well just be tearing open the thing. Right, okay, I think
that's
the
useless.
Was that you can then tear it without scissors, but I don't see it personally.
No, neither do I, because you're still going to have to sort of grab it and sort of go like that. Okay, so this is the Master of Laketown.
And there he is.
And there he is. So this is our national institution, Stephen Fry.
It is Stephen Fry in miniature, which is rather fabulous.
And what do you think of the likeness to Stephen Fry?
I don't think it's great.
It's not as good as
I'm sure we'll get onto this, but I think the model's brilliant, but I don't think it looks like Stephen Fry too much. And I thought the same with Alfred, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if...
Yeah, is it a paint job, or is it the actual model?
It's the model. I've painted Alfred. You may have heard.
Oh yeah, I've seen your Alfred. Shot him.
You did.
You shot him dead.
That armour, I can't remember what armour it was. And it's almost like they were using... It doesn't make any sense, but it's almost like they were using concept art rather than the actors' likenesses. It's like the costumes look right, but neither of the faces look particularly like him. I mean, he doesn't look dissimilar.
No.
He's not.
No, just to give you an example quickly of how effective that tab was. That's the carnage of me trying to get into that. What I will do is I'll just move up the picture of the Master of Laketown there. Because one thing, if you looked at like the new plastic Legos, for example, a lot of people say, oh my god, it's an awful likeness. But it actually turned out to be the paint job. Because I've seen some cracking paint jobs on him, and it looks incredibly like Orlando Bloom in a movie. However, with this, I'm going to move this a little bit closer so these guys can have a look as well. Just Oh no, yeah, we'll get that light away. It won't be incredibly in focus, but
you can go onto the website obviously and have a look at the.
The faces are quite cartoony. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, both of them are. Yeah,
they've got like they look more like a caricature of.
They do, and they are. I mean, the
strange.
characters. The Master is overly pompous and overly. He's all style over substance, isn't he? In the thing, and I think he's meant to have like no taste and a lot of money, and I think that's kind of it's a cool little outfit. It's a cool look that Weta have gone for with him. I don't know if that is Weta actually as a costume design. It might just be the costume design.
And they do get that across really well with the model. If you look at the fur the fur lining on this is
Have you got something to say about the quality of that model?
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful Finecast model. but yeah, I mean, in terms of
the model is great.
I never know what I'm looking for in terms of defects. Because me and Jamie have had this discussion before. When we're looking at Finecast, we probably can't see where faults are, like some people do.
I think there's a bit. If you look just in there, you see inside his hair, there's a little white patch. Yep. That's not there, and there's no way that'll show up. I'm guessing, but there's just a little. It almost looks like the detail hasn't been quite.
I'm cutting it off. I'm not stabbing him. Let's use it as a pointer. Okay, so it's just on this side here. There's like a
backwards. In between, just about here, in between his like his cheek and his hairline. There's a kind of white patch that looks. It could be scraped away possibly, but it's a small thing. It's not. It wouldn't ruin that. I personally. You could clean that up and I wouldn't send that back. I wouldn't say it's a miscast.
No, when I look at this model from an aesthetic point of view, the little details are great. See, right down to the rings on his fingers. If you look, you've got the rings, and these are small hands, not big cartoon hands. Little rings on his fingers, the buttons being burst open.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And even the face, I've had a few Finecast photos, miniatures where the eyes haven't been great, and you can clearly see on that the eye bit to paint. It's not just like the slit. There's some Hobbit models that have got this tendency to have two eyelids.
Yeah.
And then you paint in between the eyelid. That's what they did with Alfred. If you look at the paint job of Alfred, it's like he's got these big puffy eyes.
Yeah,
They painted him two eyelids and then painted them in between. Whereas for me, I painted the bottom eyelid as his eye, and I think it looks better. I don't know what the sculptors intended, but that's what I did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I can see it, and that's a really, really good observation. And even right down to his belt buckle.
They've done it on this. Look, they've done it on this. Look, the bits that I would think are his eyes, they painted pink. You see that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have a look at that picture. You probably won't see it there, but have a look at that picture on the website. And the bits that I will paint it as his eyes are painted pink as if they're his bottom eyelids. And they're doing this all over the Hobbit range, and I find it really weird, and it gives them these big puffy eyeballs.
That's a really interesting observation. No, it is. This is what we need. This is why you are here. No, no, it is a really interesting observation actually, and one that I hadn't really noticed before.
I do it in Thorin's company a lot as well.
Because sometimes you do have to look and you think, well, why does that look odd? And I actually think some of the paint jobs which are responsible.
Yeah.
Some of the paint jobs for some of the new Hobbit models, I don't think have been fantastic. In terms of showing off the miniature, if I look at this miniature, I think this looks like
it'd be fun to paint.
Real fun.
Yeah. I enjoyed painting Alfred. I really enjoyed.
And I've painted Alfred. I'm not bringing him, but
I didn't bring him.
I didn't bring him
to the tournament. That probably hasn't happened yet. I don't know how these things work.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. This will go in 2 weeks, so our review will be out before then. Yeah. So that tournament. It looks like it's going to be great fun to paint, and I'm guessing you're going to probably go with the scheme that's shown. Or have you got some other ideas?
No, I've got the. I might go with a redder scheme. I've got the Chronicles books, which are amazing, by the way. The ones they're doing for the Hobbit, and they've got lots of concept art. And I'm going to paint him how he is in the portrait. He's in quite a ready colour scheme, and that seems to be more of his outfit that he's wearing in the film.
I'll tell you what we'll do after this. If you can show me the book, I'll take a picture of it, and we'll put it up about here. That's kind of how it goes. So let's talk a little bit about the Master of Laketown and when you would bring him and what he does. So let's have a little look at his stat line first of all.
Sure. So.
yeah, the huff and the puff. Because we've seen Alfred in games. Have we seen a Master of Laketown at tournament yet?
I haven't.
Tournament. You haven't.
I haven't seen him in a friendly game. Bear in mind, the one thing is he's only been out 6 weeks, 2 months.
Really?
So Yeah, he was the second wave, wasn't he? He came out at the start of January.
Yeah, that's true.
So 2 months. So
there is still a chance.
There's an element that if people are getting him, you know, this is, I wanted to get him, and you have very kindly donated this model, which is lovely. But I hadn't picked him up yet because he wasn't high up my priority list. Whether, now, I'm not saying that's the only reason, as we shall see, if you want.
Yeah, so, Master of Laketown, and he's pretty...
He's 4s and 2s.
Yeah. So
read this, yeah? Go through it.
Yeah, you can do, yes, it's fair. So,
fight 4s, both of them, but he hasn't got a missile weapon, strength defence for 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 3, and 2 for all the...
he's got 2 2/2s. And crucially, he's unarmed as well, so that means he's going to get -1.
-1 to his dual roll and -1 to wound.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, it's a big deal.
And he's 50 points.
50 points.
He's 50 points. Now 50 points is a low to mid range, isn't it? It's kind of low.
Yeah, it's your captain. It's a human, a Rohan captain's 45.
Yeah.
So a Laketown captain's 45.
Okay, so let's compare him to one of those for a second. So of course he's got
Laketown captain's 40.
He's got that fight value of a Rohan captain. He's got the strength of a Rohan captain, but he's not got the defence. He's defence 4, which isn't great. He's unarmed. Let's reiterate that. He's unarmed. So this guy...
Two-facer.
But he's got the 2 face. He's more like a... He's got 2 fate and he's got 2 will as well. He's not designed to go into combat, is he?
No.
He's not designed to be a combat.
Do you know what I think he's designed for? I think he reminds me of classic SBG stuff. I think he's designed for scenarios. I don't think he's designed for people who are trying to build competitive lists. I think he's designed for people who love the films and love the game and want to make a fun, fluffy Laketown army to play with their mates.
Yeah, I would fully agree with you.
His special rules as well. He has 2. The one is that he's got 2 points of might, and one is that he can use a point of might, and all Laketown guard, I think it's within 6 inches of him, get fight 4 instead of fight 3 for the turn. So he buffs them.
Yeah, which it's like giving all your troops. Let's say you're in a combat against fight 3. It's like giving them effectively a heroic strike, or giving all your troops a heroic strike for a turn.
Yes.
That's actually quite more of a positive way of thinking about it than maybe we've described it before.
You want to be really optimistic.
Because using a might point to give a troop
this guy
4,
gives every troop within 6 inches a free heroic strike.
Effectively. Rolling a 1.
Rolling a 1. Yeah.
But you know, fight 4 is such a key stat, and you can imagine at a certain point in the game that would be quite important.
Yeah, but I
think most things.
I think it would be fairly important in more than 2 turns.
Oh yes.
And if only he had a counsellor who could help with it. But,
and this is the thing.
But that's it's a good rule. It's nice because the Laketown guard. But you're essentially paying 50 points to make your rubbish guys slightly less rubbish. And is that...
Well, let's divide that over the warband. Okay, so you've got your 50 points with him, and a Laketown guard is 5 points.
Plus a...
So 60...
Plus a spear or bow. Makes them 6.
Right, okay, so let's say you take 12 of them, and they've got one or the other.
72.
72 points. So you're paying another 50 points. That's adding to each warrior how many?
How much should it be worth?
No, I'm kind of so
a point of fight is worth a point.
A point, yeah.
Yeah, every stat increase should be worth a point.
It's worth a point.
But you're only getting it for 2 turns.
You're only getting it for 2 turns, unless
2 phases. I'm not sure, it's not going to come into anything else, but it's just 2 fight phases.
Yeah, 2 fight phases. So it could be useful if you really like the theme of this, but more likely it is, like you said, for a scenario. However, he's not written into any of the Desolation of Smaug scenarios. So do you think that we're going to see, and you know, obviously this is a very optimistic channel.
It's an optimistic channel, okay.
Do you think that we're going to see?
I think the most likely situation, with my optimistic hat on, is that the There and Back Again supplement, if and when there is one, will have retro scenarios for Laketown.
Yeah, I think so.
Whereas in the same way, yeah, potentially, in the same way this book, the Desolation of Smaug book, had the Dimrill Dale scenario,
yeah.
I don't think we're going to get a Laketown a Desolation of Smaug Part 2 book this year.
No.
I think that could potentially be the case, because you could have the scenario, bizarrely what they've been in, would be good against good. It would be barred against the Master, Alfred, and Laketowners running around Laketown. That's the scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the scenario. Yeah, maybe the dwarves trying to get weapons or something.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. You would have...
If they don't have that, I
Laketown
expect to see a
being
really
evil.
good custom scenario.
Well, if maybe
I can imagine a couple of people who'd be quite good at doing that.
maybe if there might be a publication at some point in the future that will tend to such things.
Yeah.
He's also got another rule. He's got, I can't remember what it's called, is it the Dragon Sickness one?
Yeah, Dragon Sickness.
At the start of the game, your enemy picks one of his heroes, and if that hero touches the Master of Laketown at any point in the game, the Master of Laketown has to take a courage test, and if he fails it, he runs away.
The Master of Laketown runs away.
Because he's been bribed.
So this is a really, really negative.
Master of Laketown.
Yeah, so when present...
If the Master of Laketown
At the start of the game, your enemy. Are there any rules, special rules across the whole of strategy battle game which do that, which give your opponent
a way to instantly remove your character?
A way to such a big.
It's a big question. Should have asked me that before we started.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. Can you?
No, I can't think of anything.
Where a special rule allows your opponent to...
So you're paying 50 points for someone whose stat line is worse than a captain. He gets
In what ways?
He gets an extra will and an extra fate, and he gets -1 defence.
-1 defence, and he's unarmed.
Yeah, and he's unarmed. I'd say that's worse.
That is
and he's
worse.
more expensive.
And he's more expensive.
And then he's got this rule where if an enemy hero touches him, he might leg it.
Which is
he's not competitive, is he? He's not
competitive. No,
but then, as I say, that's not necessarily the point of SBG.
In what situations do you think that we're going to actually see him on the battlefield? Because he's clearly not designed for...
I know at least one person who... I feel bad saying these people because you call them out, but Jay Clare is doing a Laketown army.
Fantastic.
Because he really likes the fluff of it, and I'm certain he'll have Alfred, a captain,
brilliant,
Bart, and that's brilliant. But if you were going to take... If you wanted Laketown warriors in a points match, you wouldn't take him. I don't think he brings anything to the table.
No, apart from being able to give them fight for.
Yeah, but I think you're just... If you're using them, you're using them as cheap spear support, probably behind dwarves or something with fight for already. I don't think giving...
If you're going to be competitive.
Yes,
because
exactly.
I would say we're going to see most of what we're going to see when it comes to Laketown is going to be people using cheap spear support, using them as cheap because 5 points.
Yeah, they're very good for that. The other thing is, if you're doing fluff, you wouldn't want him because the fluff is Battle of 5 Armies, and you'd want Bard.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's a very niche little scenario. I think it'd be really cool. We were talking about this earlier today. To maybe have Alfred the Master, some Laketown Guard, Tariel, maybe then Feely, Keely, Biffa, and Oin. That would be a cool little force, which could, that could probably comfortably get you up to about easily 500 points.
Yeah.
Not saying it'd be competitive, but people are looking at it and going, that is cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea. And I think maybe writing some scenarios, if you made yourself some Laketown scenery, would be good. But and I'm going to paint him up and I'm going to put him in the cabinet because I think it's a gorgeous model. But yeah, he's not. He's a fun character piece. He's not a...
No, we had an idea, funnily enough, and this came up when we were actually discussing someone that we're going to see a lot more of, which is Alfred.
Dreaded Alfred.
Because we saw him 3 times at the Mansfield tournament. We're going to see a lot more of him. Now, obviously, a lot of people are trying to find ways, or maybe explain ways. Here he is.
There he is.
Beautifully. Maybe if you go like that, he will...
There's little Alfie.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Of ways of... Because we don't want there to be this situation where, because a couple of players bring Alfred, every good army ends up bringing Alfred because it's like 20 points for the free might, and it can be so useful for proper armies. I think
it can be huge.
As I saw against Owen in hold ground, just being able to I'll use my might and then to make sure I'm where I need to be.
In hold ground's a very good example because you normally deliberate for ages about whether or not you would use the might to get onto the table. But if you've got Alfred, you get a 1 even, so you don't turn up, and you go, why not? Because if you use all 3 might, that hero then has no might, so there is no risk to using Alfred. No guarantee you'll get 3 might back, of course. But it's useful, and you don't. Yeah, like you say, you don't want to get into a situation where every good army just says, "I'll just drop 2 warriors and put Alfred in."
Yeah, to the point where you feel like to be competitive that you have to bring them. You don't want that situation. And one fix that we've discussed is a kind of Saruman-Grima relationship.
So Grima's fantastic, brilliant little model, real game changer sometimes, but very effective. But he's 25 points, but you can only include him if you have Saruman, and that's the kicker. So people don't tend to take Saruman if you're under 700 points. So
we're thinking that if you inserted a similar rule for these two guys together, where to bring Alfred, you have to bring the Master of Laketown. All of a sudden, this is a big points investment.
Yeah.
So you're having to spend
70 points
for 2 unarmed models that aren't doing anything in combat.
Yeah. And that I think would be cool, because then I don't think it's worth it. It could still be worth it because you could still get 9 might, but I don't think it's worth the gamble.
And you can still get a ton of cheap spear support.
Yeah, and so people that then would do it would clearly be the people who wanted to do it, because Alfred's rule is clearly meant to be given to him.
Yeah.
The Master of Laketown spends might to boost Laketowners. Alfred gives people back might. He's meant to give that back so that every turn he can keep boosting it. That's the point.
That is the point.
And you noticed he was kind of, in the film, he's kind of going behind his back a bit and kind of trying to get around him, and that's the dubious counsel bit. So that sometimes he tells him the wrong information. That's the fluff.
Yeah.
That's another way you fix Alfred.
Yeah.
You know, everyone said this before, but you say that his rule only affects Laketown heroes.
So a really good example of what what the general feeling I'm guessing is going to be about the Master of Laketown is that we've spent the last 5 minutes really talking about the real stealer of the show in the release, which is Alfred, in terms of the headline.
In terms of the meta filth, yeah.
However, in terms of a gorgeous Finecast miniature, and he is.
He is, it's stunning.
We have got the Master of Laketown. So this has been another GBHL YouTube video unboxing. What would you give him out of 10?
The model?
Model.
8.
8 out of 10.
8 or 9. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
8. His face is a bit lopsided.
Yeah, his face is a bit too much like a caricature of, but at the same time, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I'd probably agree with you there. In terms of his effectiveness on the battlefield, I'd probably give him a 1.
I was going to say 2, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. This has been GBHL James.
And Damian.
Damian, Dr. Grant for the forums. Support your Hobbit hobby.
And happy strategy, pal.